Plot twists always make for some of the hottest film discourse in the business, but they're even more scrutinized and impactful when they're part of a franchise. From Luke finding out Vader was his father to Thanos snapping half of all life out of existence, there have been so many times that a single twist changed a franchise forever, and today we're talking about the most recent movies to play this exact trick for better or worse. I'm Josh from WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 recent plot twists that changed movie franchises forever. Number 10. Han is alive, F9. The Fast and the Furious franchise follows a group of carjackers turned secret agents, and somehow the movies are more ridiculous than that premise suggests. The gang's leader, Dom Toretto, has been stealing and racing cars since he could walk, and on missions, he's gone head-to-head with hackers, terrorists, and would-be conquerors. But because he's made so many enemies over the years, it's not surprising that his friends and family have got caught in the crossfire. The ones fans lamented the most, though, was Han, an absolute firecracker of a supporting character who died in Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Or so we thought, because in F9, Han actually showed up alive and well. As surprising as this was, though, we must also remember that Dom's sister Letty also seemingly died, but then just returned later in the series without a scratch on her, and that's because if there's a series where death isn't permanent, it's definitely this one. Still, this does have huge implications on the series, especially because fans have wanted Han to return for years, or at the very least, have his death be reckoned with in some form. However, because of these apparent resurrections, fans might wonder if there are any other characters who've cheated death as well. And hey, who can blame them now? A precedent has been set. If Letty and Han can rise from the grave, it's not too far-fetched to believe that other allegedly deceased characters will return in the future. Number 9. Dumbledore has a secret brother, Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. In the Fantastic Beasts series, the wicked sorcerer Grindelwald intends to use a dark energy called the Obscurus to slay Albus Dumbledore, believing that he threatens his plan for world domination. When he learns a young magician called Credence Barebone has an Obscurus tethered to his being, Grindelwald manipulates him into joining his cause. Although little is known about Credence at first, we learn about his heritage in Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. In the conclusion here, the titular villain actually reveals that Credence is Aurelius, Dumbledore's long-lost brother. Because the Harry Potter novels only refer to Dumbledore as having one brother, this surprised everyone, and nobody was prepared for this bombshell. So, what does this mean going forward? Is Aurelius going to turn against his own flesh and blood? Does Dumbledore know his brother even exists? Is Grindelwald lying to begin with? We don't know. Even though these questions and more should be answered in the aptly named upcoming Secrets of Dumbledore, it's safe to assume that this follow-up will unveil even more epiphanies that will change the wizarding world forever. Number 8. John Connor dies, Terminator Dark Fate. Terminator Dark Fate may have been a bit of a mess, but you have to commend the filmmakers for at least trying something different. Or at least that's what I say to myself as I cry myself to sleep at night. First, the movie killed off the franchise's hero, John Connor, and secondly, he died in the very first scene. Because as you may know, John Connor is destined to win the war against the machines, and this is what Terminators have spent movies upon movies trying to achieve. Fans were left speechless watching humanity's last hope meet his maker 5 minutes into this new movie. Although this could have been a really bad idea, having John Connor bite the dust kind of works. In Dark Fate, Sarah Connor tracks down a woman named Dani, who she believes will bear the child of the new Resistance leader, until it turns out that Dani herself is destined to become the new savior of humanity. And this works because the recent Terminator films have gotten extremely repetitive, so it was a nice change to see someone besides John Connor revered as mankind's last hope. Even if the inevitable follow-up decides to not follow Dark Fate's continuity, which admittedly is probably likely judging on the box office of this thing, it would still be refreshing to have a story that doesn't hinge on whether John Connor lives or dies for the umpteenth time. Number 7. Rey is a Palpatine, Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker. 2 seconds after Rey was announced as the protagonist of Disney's Star Wars trilogy, fans suspected that she was a relative of a significant character like Han or Luke. This idea, though, was seemingly discarded in The Last Jedi when Kylo Ren informed her that she was simply the daughter of filthy junk traders. But it turns out that this was a lie. In Rise of Skywalker, Rey was horrified to learn that she's the granddaughter of the Rebels' greatest enemy, Emperor Sheev Palpatine. The Dark Sith informs Rey that she was only created so her body could serve as a vessel vessel for his soul. Now, Rey may have rejected her heritage by vanquishing her evil grandfather and taking on the surname Skywalker by the end of this film, but her connection with Palpatine still has consequences. Rey shot Force lightning and had visions of herself as a Sith, proving a dark side resides within her. Despite the fact that a lot of fans didn't like this twist, Rey's ancestry is now part of Star Wars canon. And whether you like it or not, Rey's dark heritage is sure to be incorporated more in Star Wars in the future. Number 6. The original Candyman has returned. Candyman. 1992's Candyman centers around a black man, Daniel Robitaille, who was killed and tortured by a mob after falling in love with a white woman. Being later reborn as a vengeful spirit, Daniel goes on a murder spree if anyone dares say the moniker Candyman in front of a mirror 5 times. In the 2021 version though, the Candyman here is Sherman Fields, a man who was killed by the police after being falsely accused of giving out razor-laced candy to children. When the lead character, Anthony, hears this tale, he finds himself being tormented and possessed by Sherman's spirit to exact revenge on those who wronged him. Not only that, but it establishes the Candyman legend as not being tied to one person, but multiple victimized black men throughout the decades. The film does a satisfying job at updating the legend of the Candyman and even throws quite a twist in at the end. And that's because in the final scene, Anthony actually transforms into Daniel Robitaille, with Tony Todd once again showing his villainous presence. Now, this appearance may have been brief, but it proves that even after 30 years, his work is far from finished. Number 5. Thanos' brother, Eternals. In the MCU, Eternals are an ancient race of aliens forged by cosmic beings to safeguard humanity. Even though most comic fans are aware that the Eternals are related to Thanos' species, the Titans, this detail is mostly ignored in the movie. However, all that changes in the post-credit scene. In the film Stinger, the Eternals are soaring through space in their ship before being interrupted by Pip the Troll and Thanos' brother Eros, both teleporting right in front of them. The Eternals are frightened at first, but Eros reassures them that he's there to help. And who is he played by? Well, it's only bloody Harry Styles of all people. Although the Marvel Cinematic Universe has introduced many new characters in 2021, Eros' addition is sure to have major implications going forward. In the comics, he's an intergalactic superhero and even an Avenger. Because his adventures take place across the cosmos as well, he could theoretically appear in future films related to the Eternals or the Guardians of the Galaxy, and is sure to divulge some valuable knowledge about his infamous sibling, as well as what came of his race. And who knows, if Eros is still alive, we might see Thanos' father or even his mother in the MCU's future. Number 4, Trinity is the One and so much more. The Matrix Resurrections. The Matrix Resurrections could have made up pretty much the entirety of this list. It's so full of twists that change the franchise forever that it's difficult to know even where to begin. So let's start with the stuff that was revealed in the trailer. Yes, Trinity and Neo are both alive, and they were revived by the machines to act as the foundation of their new Matrix. Not only that, but by the end, Trinity has also developed the same powers of the One, and is just as powerful as Neo was by the end of the original series. Likewise, 60 years have passed with Morpheus dying, and humans and some machines have learned to coexist. At the very least, having the pair alive after the events of Revolutions is a game changer for the whole series, as is discovering everything else that happened in the 60 years between films. Number 3, saying goodbye to an old friend, Scream. Another entry that's actually something of a two-parter. There are 2 reveals in the new Scream, which is confusingly not just titled Scream 5, that turn the entire franchise on its head. First is the death of Dewey. Despite inexplicably surviving a multitude of stabbings over the years, Dewey finally meets his maker in the latest movie, taking the core trio of Sidney, Gale, and Dewey down to only Sid and Gale. It was a stupid, dumb death in my opinion, but I'd be lying to say that it wasn't emotional in the moment. More surprising though is the reveal that Billy Loomis, aka one of the original killers, actually fathered a daughter before the events of that first movie. She's our protagonist this time around, with her heritage causing her to be haunted by the ghost of her dead dad. This completely changes the way we view one of the franchise's biggest killers, and adds another dimension to that original movie. Number 2, Green Goblin kills Aunt May, Spider-Man No Way Home. We were warned in advance that Spider-Man No Way Home was going to be an emotional ride, but I don't think any of us were prepared for just how devastating this long-anticipated flick was going to be. This is all kicked off by the death of Aunt May at the hands of Green Goblin, who in dying essentially takes the place of Uncle Ben in this new MCU iteration of the Wallcrawler. That's because her death is partly Peter's fault after all. I mean, if he didn't mess with space and time, Gobby would have never showed up, and he'd never have met May, and she wouldn't have gotten caught in the crossfire. With May gone and Tony Stark dead, Spidey is now without any kind of parental figure. In fact, he's without anyone, as the final twist comes when he agrees to have himself wiped from the minds of anyone he ever knew, which means that girlfriend MJ, best friend Ned, and even the Avengers forget that he exists. All accomplished in a second, Eternal Sunshine style. This sets up an unknown future for the web-slinger, who's truly on his own from here on out. Number 1. James Bond dies. No Time to Die. With 25 installments under his belt and a name recognized worldwide, there's no question that James Bond is among the most powerful movie franchises in cinema history. Nevertheless, there are naysayers who complain how predictable the series has become. After all, every entry has 007 churning out one-liners, getting the girl, and saving the world, right? Well, anyone who has seen No Time to Die would strongly disagree, since the most recent installment throws the biggest blinder possible, that being that James Bond actually dies at the end. And the film isn't coy about it either. It's not left up to interpretation or anything like that. You literally witness the legendary spy being reduced to atoms. You don't get more dead than that. It goes without saying that this isn't the last we've seen of 007. I mean, the studio is already trying to find Daniel Craig's replacement right now, but even though the series is sure to continue for years to come, there may never be a moment as shocking as the day James Bond dies. So that's our list. Want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. What did you think of these movie plot twists? And are there any huge ones I missed off here? While you're down there as well, could you please give us a like, share, subscribe, and head over to whatculture.com for more lists and news like this every single day. Even if you don't, I've been Josh. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.